Hey everyone, in this lesson we're going to go over what is security testing. Now, disclaimer, this is not my forte, this is not the type of testing that I do, but like I said, this course is about teaching you guys what you need to learn in order to do each type of testing. I'm not going to teach you how to do security testing, I'm just here to tell you what to learn to do security testing. So, let's go over the basics. So, security testing is the process of identifying weaknesses, vulnerabilities, and risks in software applications, systems, or networks to ensure they are protected against unauthorized access, like data breaches or other malicious activities. In simple terms, security testing checks how safe and secure your system is from attackers, whether they're trying to steal data, bypass login screens, exploit weak code, or attack your network or server. Basically, hackers, okay? Key goals of security testing: you have to find vulnerabilities before hackers do, ensure data is protected, especially sensitive info like passwords, credit card data, also, social security, passport numbers, anything personal, your ID, stuff like that. Comply with industry standards like GDPR, HIPAA, PCI DSS. If you get into security testing, you're going to have to get familiar with all the standards, and maintain user trust and avoid financial legal consequences. Okay, so now let's go over the tools that they use in security testing. Here, there's a whole lot, okay? I'm not going to explain how each one works, but on the next slide, I'll at least give you examples of how they're used. So for penetration testing, we have Metasploit, Burp Suite, Kali Linux, Nmap, Cobalt Strike, and SQL Map. For vulnerability scanning, we have Nisus, OpenVAS, Qualys, Nexpose, Rapid7, or Nictel. For static application security testing, we have SonarQube, Fortify Static Code Analyzer, Checkmarx, Veracode, and CodeQL. For dynamic application security testing, also known as DAST, we have OWASP Zap, Burp Suite, Acunetix, AppSpider, and NetSparker. For security code review, we have manual inspection supported by IDEs, Code Compare, GitHub code scanning, Fortify, and Checkmarx. For ethical hacking, we have tools like Kali Linux, Metasploit, Wireshark, Aircrack NG, Hydra, and John the Ripper. For risk assessment tools, we have FAIR, Factor Analysis of Information Risk, Octave, Risk Lens, NIST Cybersecurity Framework Tools, and Archer, RSA. For security posture assessment, we have tools like CISCAT or SysCat, Nisus, Microsoft Security Compliance Toolkit, Rapid7, Insight VM, Qualys Security Configuration Assessment. Alright, so now let's go over some of the definitions. I know we went through the tools a little quick. In the next slide, I'm going to show you some examples so that we can see how some of these tools are used. So, penetration testing. It simulates real-world attacks to identify vulnerabilities and assess the security posture of a system. An example would be a tester that attempts to exploit a login form using SQL injection to access admin accounts and bypass authentication, mimicking what a real attacker might do. Okay, then we have vulnerability scanning, which automates the identification of known vulnerabilities in systems and applications. An example would be a security engineer using Nisus, that was one of the tools, to scan a company's internal servers and find that one of them is still running an outdated version of Apache with a known remote code execution flaw. Next, we have static application security testing, or SAST, which analyzes the code of an application for security flaws without running it. For example, a developer runs SonarQube, that was one of their tools, on their Java code base before deploying it, and it flags several insecure uses of a user input that could lead to injection attacks. Next, we have dynamic application security testing, or DAST. This tests the application while it's running, identifying vulnerabilities as they occur. An example would be a QA engineer uses OWASP SUP, that's the tool, to automatically test a web application in a staging environment, let's say, and it finds an open redirect vulnerability in the login flow. Next, we have security code review. This manually examines the code for potential vulnerabilities. An example would be a security analyst reviews a newly written API controller in Python and notices that input validation is missing, which could allow attackers to inject malicious data. Then we have ethical hacking, which simulates malicious attacks in a controlled environment to identify security weaknesses. An example would be during a red team exercise, an ethical hacker uses Kali Linux tools to exploit a misconfigured file sharing service and gains access to internal documents, later reporting the issue for remediation. Under risk assessment, this analyzes the likelihood and impact of potential security threats. An example would be a risk analyst uses the FAIR methodology to determine that an exposed admin panel has a medium likelihood of being attacked and a high potential business impact, so marking it as a high priority risk. Next, we have security posture assessment. This evaluates the overall security strength of a system or application. An example would be a consultant that uses the CISCAT or CIS-CAT to benchmark a company's Windows servers against CIS security best practices, and it reports back with a score, highlighting areas of weak configuration and outdated policies. And now let's go to our path for security testing. Make sure you get familiar with all the types of testing that are specifically for security testing, like penetration testing, vulnerability scanning, static application security testing or SAST, dynamic application security testing or DAST, security code review, ethical hacking, risk assessment, and security posture assessment. I am not going to go and read through all these tools, but I have listed here all the most widely used tools in security, all the widely used techniques, and the fundamentals, and some of the things that you obviously have to get familiar with and learn and take courses on in order to become a security tester. Again, this will be a PDF you can download so that you have your checklist that you can follow. And later on, at the end of the course, we will be going over what types of certifications you can get and where you can get them.